Welcome back, everybody, to We Talk Film. I'm your host, Barry, joined by Clayton, as always. How are we going this week, Clayton?
Oh, hello, Barry. I'm
Hello.
doing good.
That's good.
How are you today?
I am
Yes.
doing well. At the moment, I can see 1 pixel of you. So this is going swimmingly.
Nice. Perfect. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Definitely not.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. We've got some big things today because we're talking
Some
about a
big
television show,
things. Yahoo.
followed up by a television show, and then
Followed
finally
up
a television
television
show.
show. A lot of television shows for a film podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, we might need to rebrand at this point. We Talk TV.
Just
That
maybe a
doesn't
little
quite have a
bit.
ring.
No.
WTTF? TTV?
WTTF.
It doesn't quite work.
We'll figure
Yeah,
something
we
out.
might have to, I don't know, go back to the drawing board on that one.
Go
But
back to
before we
yeah.
get into today's topics, ferry us over to the newsroom, Barry.
The news. news.
Okay, first story that I'd like to mention is straight out of Sony Pictures. Kraven the Hunter has been delayed again.
What?
It was initially supposed to come out in August,
Yep.
but now it's coming out in December.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. This is like the
No.
second or third delay. It's very, very not good.
No. That's the thing, because it
It's
wasn't
poor
it at
film.
one point
Why
it
does
was
this exist?
brought up by 10 days because of something, but now they're December. Okay.
Wasn't it? Was it brought up? I think that was
Yeah.
something else. I don't remember Kraven being brought
No,
forward.
it was like 10 days because of the whole election campaign or something like that. They didn't want it like running it on the same
Oh,
day
right.
in America, but obviously they were just like, nah, we're just going into December now.
That's so weird. It's like
Yeah.
a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's delayed another like 5 months after its initial release, so that's quite a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
There may be reshoots, there may be more just visual effects stuff. I'm unsure what they're doing. But
Changing
good
the
fun.
entire film,
Good job,
hopefully.
guys. I doubt it. There's no way. They let Madam Web come out in its state. Like, I don't think
True.
Craven's gonna be
True.
changed. Because I don't think it's gonna be worse than that. I'm not sure it's gonna be enjoyable, but I don't think it's Madam Web.
Yep.
But I guess we'll see. Okay, next story. More Marvel news. The Russo brothers, the directors of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and a whole bunch of other stuff, have come out saying that they don't think there's any possible way Iron Man could return to the MCU. It's a really weird statement,
Yeah.
considering Robert Downey Jr. has expressed his like, "Hey, I'd come back if they want me," sort of
Yeah. Well,
thing.
if they pay
And
him enough, he'll come back.
multiverse. Yeah, he's like, "I'm down to come back." But then
Yeah.
the Russo brothers are like, "There's no way he could come back." And I'm like, "Have you seen any of the movies? They're bringing
Have you
everyone
read
back.
a
I don't know what you're
comic
talking
book?
about." Exactly. It was a weird thing for them guys to put out because I'm not sure what prompted. I think it was just like an IGN interview
Yeah.
that brought that comment forward. I was like, so weird. All right, you guys do your thing. And then in other news, Netflix, One Piece, its like most faithful adaptation to date is getting a second season. Reportedly coming out in 2025. So
Oh,
not that
okay.
long
No.
to go till we get a second season of that. I'm sure people are excited because
Yep.
that's got hell of a good reception. People are enjoying it. Sure, keep doing more. It's
Yeah.
making money, so they're gonna make more of it. Go
Yeah. Well,
Netflix.
I preferred
Rare
that
W.
more than probably the Avatar show they did. I feel like season 1
Yeah,
of One Piece was quite better done. Well, mainly because I probably I
yeah,
haven't watched the One Piece anime before, so that probably helped.
that's true. Yeah, no, I feel like I'd be in the same boat. I haven't seen Netflix's One Piece yet. I'm not sure if I will. Maybe when the second season comes out, I might watch it. I'm not that big of a fan. I don't really care that
Yep.
much about it. But yeah, don't really have any doubts saying that I'd probably enjoy it more than Avatar. Because yeah, I don't know the source material. Okay,
Yeah.
and then in other news, we got some local news the other week. Last week,
Last
because
week?
we got to reveal that. Yeah, and you know all about this because Screen West are getting a shit ton of more money to
Oh,
push forward into
yes.
projects.
Because I was
$32 million
there.
dollars. Yeah, he was there. That
I
like, do
was
you wanna tell
there.
that story, Barry?
Yeah, so basically,
Wha
lovely minister. I forget what he's minister for, but basically for the creative arts and everything like that. There's actually a certain. I think it
He's
is
just
actually his creative
Minister of
arts.
Arts,
Yeah,
yeah,
minister of arts.
yeah.
Basically, yeah, came out and said, it's not 32 million, but it is 13 million. For WA
Oh,
sector
okay.
that we are getting. 2 million
Right,
of that will
right.
be going towards the video games here in WA, and then the rest of the money will be going towards obviously films here in WA and everything like that. Obviously, I
Yeah.
think like there will be more offers apart from all that later in the year. Like Screen Australia will probably have their thing, and more films that get made here, the higher that will go up for us. And so that's the thing. At the end of the day,
Mhm,
it's good
mhm.
for you and I because we're just getting into this industry. So we know there's going to be plenty of work for us in the near future, or it's already starting to happen now. And then, yeah, once the new studios get built here, everything will be looking good. You know, apparently there's big interest overseas
Yeah,
at the moment to start filming films here in
apparently.
Perth. So,
Apparently. So, yeah, it's looking very good for us,
yeah.
and then that new studio that they're building is, what, like, 2 years away now?
Yeah,
Like, it's really
2026.
starting to pick up.
So,
26? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they it's really starting to pick up in the West Australian film industry, and we will be covering all of it on the show, and
try and
hopefully
get some behind the
working in it.
scenes. We'll go up there and just be like, yes, this is our studio. Look at us. Just
Our
start
studio. We
vlogging
put our
our
names on
studio.
it.
Yeah, it's our
Oh, we put
studio.
up a We Talk Film poster.
That would be great.
We'll sneak that in
We'll
somewhere.
do one of the episodes
We'll
in
see
the
what we can do.
studio if we could.
Oh, yeah. Genius. We'll just go see who we can find. We'll do some, like, we'll run around with a camera and just see who we can find. We'll grab someone
Exactly.
and interview them off the street. That sounds perfect. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of the news. Not a lot happened this week. That's kind of about it. So yeah, throw us into what we're doing today, Barry. What's happening?
So yes, today we are talking about the new hit series that is better than Game of Thrones, Shogun. And here's a clip.
My life is mine and yours is yours. If you can't see that, you'll never be free of this prison.
It is you who is imprisoned. Freedom is all you ever live for.
己の務めを果たす覚悟はできておるか。
覚悟はできておりまする。
It's like the side for
Oh, you didn't get a clip?
stuff and
Oh,
no,
we do it.
I told you that earlier.
Oh,
Look, there's a clip.
we
Clip in
can't
the
do the
background.
accents, can
There's
we?
a clip. No, no, you can't do that,
I'll
buddy.
be John Blackthorne, and you be like one of the other guys. Oh yes, peas and a pheasant. I am British. I'm not a pirate. Yes.
I'll be one of the other British
I
people.
speak like
I've
this.
died. So yes, we
Well,
are
I've been
talking
the
about the
show
hit
for very
show
long.
that everyone's talking about at the moment, Shogun, which is just released 10 weeks ago, type thing. It has become one
Yeah.
of the biggest TV hits, ever since Game of Thrones. People were comparing this to Game of Thrones and how it should have been and everything like that. Obviously, this is based
Mhm.
upon a book, and then is also was redone as a mini series back in the 80s as well, which also was quite well received, quite good. And they're like, hey, guess what? We're gonna do it again. And yeah, it's obviously got that Disney money
Mhm.
behind it because they brought out FX and everything like that. And oh my gosh, what a
Yep,
show!
yep.
What a wonderful show.
Oh boy. It was amazing. This show blew me away.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, cause I watched it without any prior knowledge apart from the fact that everyone was raving about it.
Yep.
So going into this show, because I haven't read the book, I'm going to read the book now because of it. And I
Yeah.
haven't seen the original miniseries. That's hard to find, I think, and also there's like unsubtitled, and it's a bit of a mess. But oh, I accidentally started playing Shogun on my iPad. And
Oh no.
um, yeah, so this is an adaptation of a book series, a huge book. Book's like 1,200 pages or some insane amount.
Damn.
From 1975. So it's very old, and it's
Yep.
very popular. This is like one of the most well-known books from the 70s in terms of like American literature.
Probably
especially
why it got
depicting
remade twice.
yeah, Asian cultures, which was very
Yes.
uncommon in the 70s. This book, when it came out, was a lot of people's first experiences to the idea of like samurai, shogun, ninja, all sorts of stuff like that. And the impact that this book had on that side of things is crazy because it's opened up so many doors, and particularly American audiences, to this culture and these aspects of history.
Yeah.
So seeing a show come out today and kind of just do that again, like this show has quickly propelled that period of time into mainstream media again, because we haven't had anything good samurai related since, well, apart from like Ghost of Tsushima as a video game, like
Yeah.
in a long time. So I'm very surprised at how popular this has become so quickly,
Yep.
because this show should not be as big of a hit as it is from all of the standpoints, because it's primarily not in English, for starters.
Yep.
It's a heavily subtitled show, which
Yes, it
already
is.
hinders its audience. It's like fairly low in like the action department. It's a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking. This
Yep.
is 10 hours of like theoretical political discussions between characters that don't speak the same language. So this show shouldn't have a mass audience like it's having, but it is, because it's just that good. This show
Yeah.
is propelled to the top just because of how good it is alone. And I think that's an incredible feat that I just wanted to touch on before we delve into it episode by episode. You reckon?
If you want, or we can give a quick summary as to
I
what
don't
it's
know.
all about, or
Yeah, I feel like we should do that. We should probably,
yeah.
instead of doing that, we should have like a summarized version we just go through and then we talk about it. We give everyone
Well,
like the
good
plot
thing for
rundown.
you. I do have a plot rundown thanks to Wikipedia.
Yay.
So yeah, Shogun follows the collision of two ambitious men from different worlds. John Blackthorne, a risk-taking English sailor who ends up shipwrecked in Japan, or the Japans, as he so calls it. A land whose unfamiliar culture will ultimately redefine him. Lord Toranaga, a shrewd, powerful daimyo at odds with his own dangerous political rivals, and Lady Mariko, a woman with invaluable skills and dishonorable family ties, must prove her value and allegiance. Clavel Sugar is an historical fiction. Oh, that's about the book and everything like that. And then yeah, so that's really like I would say the three main characters. Obviously, it starts out first with John Blackthorne's character. So basically, this series is based upon historical events in Japan that actually did happen and everything like that, which was absolutely amazing. And I have been like kind of deep diving research into all that a little bit. Their names are different besides Toranaga. Apparently, I think that changing or it's how it's like spelled or something like that is a little
It's
bit
slightly
different.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
slightly
yeah, it's
different, but
actually
he is
still
based
like
on
interesting to find out
historical.
that it's actually based upon real people and real events that did happen in Japan and everything like that. And the good thing about this as well, it was done on a budget of $250 million, which is a lot. But for a large scale show like this, which was mainly filmed on
Yeah.
sets with
Yeah.
people and everything like that, that is pretty good. Because I'm trying to find out quite now if it actually was
It's very
filmed
good.
in Japan.
I think quite a fair bit of it was. There is some
Yeah,
studio stuff, quite a fair bit of studio stuff. But yeah, I think it was filmed in Japan because quite a lot of the crew and the people working on it are Japanese. So I'm
Japanese.
assuming it's like a joint production between, yeah, some Japanese production
Yeah, well,
company
especially because there is
and
like one village that they do
yeah.
use a lot of in this show that
Mhm.
they just kept coming back to like every single episode. It feels like where it all like begins and where it all centers out
Yeah.
from and stuff like that. That was probably in. Oh no, Shogun was filmed in British Columbia.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
See. Okay.
Okay.
It does make a little bit of sense.
Yep. Yep.
There is some heavy
Just
green screen stuff, so I do kind of
oh
get it.
yes. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of that, especially in the
Yes.
later episodes and everything like that.
We'll get
Um,
into that. That's probably like my only gripe with the show, but we will
yes.
delve into that in a bit. So
Yeah.
basically, the plot of Shogun, we follow John Blackthorne as he gets washed up, shipwrecked, Almost. No, not shipwrecked. Yeah, no, he's not shipwrecked. He just kind of ends
Lost
up
at
in
sea.
Japan with a
Yeah.
starving crew, lost at sea, and he's found by a bunch of samurai guys. They basically take him prisoner, take all of his men. They
Yep.
boil one of them alive, and that was
Yes.
gruesome as hell for a first episode.
Yeah.
And they kind of just set him loose, using him as a distraction to mess with the Portuguese because Toranaga, Lord Toranaga, is our like I guess other protagonist. He's our secondary protagonist.
Yeah.
No, probably
Secondary
third
protagonist.
protagonist under Mariko at that point. But he's kind of up and down. He basically
Yes.
uses this British sailor to mess with his allies that are all messing with Christians. And there's a whole like religious factor that keeps being thrown into it of this guy here, who, because he's Catholic,
Yep.
coming to mess with the Christian rivals. And it's this whole political thing where this British sailor is used as a tool in order for Toranaga to take leadership over this Council of Regents, who's formed after the death of the previous emperor, the Taiko.
Yep.
So now Toranaga's like, hey, I can fumble my way and scheme my way into becoming the Shogun. And then, yeah, it's based on historical events. I got the names here. So Blackthorn's real name, he's based on the historical English navigator William Adams, and Toranaga is based on Takugawa Ieyasu. So it's very close in terms of spelling, and name, but yeah, it's almost true events. It's obviously dramatized, but
Yes. Yes.
like that's the gist of it. The overarching story is like really happened,
Yep.
and it's so crazy because the story is
Oh yeah.
insane. It's an
Like
insane
what's
story.
being crafted and everything like that, and this is obviously like much to the book's credit, and everything like that, is like, yeah, what they've been able to manage to concept through it all and everything like that, and showing the different elements on how Japan was like working in this time and everything. Because I think you did have the Portuguese there, and then this British sailor rocks up where no other country at this point besides the Portuguese knew about Japan's. Japan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like it was very like a myth thing 'cause way in the east and everything like that. And yeah, Portuguese were the only like people to have relations with them and trading, and they kind of exploited that type thing. And they were with the current people in charge of Japan. And then
Mhm.
obviously this British sailor comes in, which we originally find out that yeah, he was lost at sea, but the whole reason why he was here was to actually
He's a pirate.
kill. He is a pirate. He was there to kill the Portuguese to get them off so that they would be in charge of all the sales and everything like that of trading between Japan and the British Empire for the Queen.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And then
it's
obviously
crazy.
from that
And
it
then
works with the
afterward,
relationship.
yeah, so that builds into basically Blackthorn falling in love with the translator that he gets paired with
Yes.
because Lady Mariko, who is probably my favorite character in the show,
Yeah, she was
is
a standout.
translating because she speaks, yeah, Portuguese, English, Japanese, and she is the liaison between the English character of Blackthorn and just about everyone else because no one else in this show speaks Japanese apart from the like preacher dudes,
Yes.
the Christians.
Yep.
So they basically quickly form a relationship, the two of them, and that becomes a lot of the driving force for the series, is the actual relationship building between the two of them, in amongst all the political stuff.
Yep.
And it's so good. I'm
Yeah.
loving
Yeah.
every part of this show.
No, like the level of
Um,
writing and everything like that. And this was the other thing as well. Like, this is obviously a very heavily subtitled show. Like, and that's the thing. There's
mhm, mhm.
very minimal English, and I think the more the show progresses, it becomes like no English whatsoever because basically Blackthorn, who
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like English speaking character type thing, learns their language and stuff like that, and then he starts speaking it as well, and then it's just like okay, like you are going to have to read a lot, and there is a lot of dialogue in this show, and I probably like did probably miss like a fair chunk of it, especially like heated argument scenes and everything like that. Because what's going on is like Toranaga and like obviously the other guys, the regents that have been put in command
Mhm,
after the
mhm.
emperor and everything, like, waiting for the next heir to basically be of age. That's the reason why they're waiting for. They don't like Toranaga type thing, and they're just like, we want you out. So they devise a
No,
plan and
no.
everything like that to like get him booted out of the council type thing. Um, and then that's like a whole plot device. Why you still have this introduction of this British sailor who's come in, and then the Portuguese are like, we can't allow this man to come in because this is going to ruin our plans for
Mhm,
everything
mhm.
because he has notes upon what the Portuguese were actually doing and everything like that. And if the Japanese found out, they wouldn't like him anymore.
No. Which is exactly what happens because Blackthorn reveals everything to Toranaga, and throws the whole nation up in a stir pretty much. The
Yeah.
entire show set around the Kanto region and the castle city of Osaka is where
Yeah.
it primarily takes place. There's a bunch
Yep.
of like fishing villages and stuff around. The village of Edo is where a lot of stuff is mentioned.
Yep.
There's this whole thing around this one little region. It gets all thrown up in the air because this one British sailor shows up and starts messing with people's plans. Because it pisses off the other guys, and then the other guys break up with the other guys. So there's like a whole political triangle that's being disturbed by this guy. Kicking off the
Yes.
events of the show. It's amazing. It's such a
Yep.
great setup, and the fact that it's based on reality is just kind of adds to that.
Yeah.
'Cause this
Yep.
story feels so out of place in terms of
Yeah.
how
Well,
wild and
that's the thing because
huge it
it
feels.
was yeah kind of interesting to find out afterwards, being like seeing what they did for the story and added that all together, going at the same time. Because with Blackthorn's character, the guy in real life and stuff like that, he actually didn't do anything for Toranaga until after Toranaga was Shogun. um,
Yeah,
and everything like that,
yeah,
which is
hence the
quite funny to hear.
dramatizing.
Hence the dramatizing and everything like that. Obviously, that does change. So yes, this caused an entire like upstir and everything like that. There's then earlier in the show where basically the Japan controlled by the Christians or the Portugal Christians and stuff like that tried to assassinate him and put him in prison and everything like that. And then Toragala is like, no, this guy has like secrets that I want to know for me and everything that can benefit me. And so they escape. They get out of Osaka, and then they go back to the little fishing village, which we see a lot in the show. It is like the one big main
We
set
do.
piece. They always
Yeah.
go back to that fishing village, which is a nice spot and everything like that. And obviously saves them time on like logistics and a lot of the elements of the show, which you can see when it gets to like we go to the bigger cities like Edo and Osaka and everything like that, where it is clearly green screened and stuff like that. And when we have like these
Yeah.
large like army scenes and everything like that, I feel like that's where it does fall short a little bit, is those scenes, because it
Definitely.
is very noticeable when it does like the whole green
Yeah.
screen like effects and the visual effects and stuff like that. And that's the thing, like this is a show that is $250 million. Obviously, like I'm not sure who the
Split
visual
over
effects
10
people
hours of
split over
stuff
10 hours.
too. Like,
Yeah. Like that is still a lot, and there is still massive set pieces, and there is still for a lot of the scenes like massive amount of people for like to make up majority of the armies
mhm.
and stuff like. Because there is one scene when they do go back to that fishing village and Toranaga's army's there. Like that's actually real physical people along that shoreline
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything like that. And I was like, wow, like that's like a few hundred people just
It
for
was
that.
very cool. Very cool.
And then obviously,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
we
that
find out
stuff
he's
like that's
larger
very
army,
cool.
and then that's where it's all like visual effects and stuff like that. So yes, obviously,
Yeah.
then he comes back. They devise their plan to how can they overtake Osaka and get into place and stuff like that. Because basically, I always forget his name. Main guy.
Which one? Blackthorn?
No, Toranaga. Sorry, Toranaga basically
Okay.
doesn't want to
I think you
become
just said his name.
yeah doesn't want to become Shogun. All his people and everything like that are
Or
like
so he says.
also he says, yeah, he's like, I don't want to like any more bloodshed. He's meant to be like this peaceful person and stuff like that towards everyone else and stuff like that. And he's like, I don't want to become Shogun. Well, in the meantime, in the defenses and stuff like that, he makes Blackthorn his like admiral for the like cannons or captain of the cannons. It's something like
Mhm.
there's a name he
Yeah.
gives him.
Before that, he makes him
Hibayoshi.
Hatamoto.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, he makes him Hatamoto before, which is kind of like an admiral race, kind of like being knighted, I guess. It's sort of like
Yeah.
an honorary samurai sort of position. And I guess before we continue the political stuff, this is where we should probably talk about the relationship element of the show with the character of Mariko, who
Yes.
is translator, but she's also like a lady. So I guess like what would that like ranked be? Just under sort of the
Yeah,
royal
well,
family sort of
yeah, she
area.
is part of royal family because her father was quite
Yeah.
high up and everything like that. And everything, and
Mhm,
obviously
mhm,
that was like
mhm.
family relations with the royalty before the emperor. Well, apparently like, her family was like the emperor's like family until that other guy took over, type thing, and became emperor
Yeah,
and everything like that. 'Cause that was like a whole
that's
thing
right.
that she was part of and everything like that.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But obviously we find out like her backstory throughout the story and everything like that. Like her family was from wealth and everything, and then her dad got assassinated by all these people to put her out of power and stuff like that. And then she got like married into another family, with the
Mhm.
other samurai guy, who
The
is
husband.
actually like
Yeah.
the husband, which I was watching a behind the scenes video of that. His actually proper accent is not like Japanese whatsoever. He is straight up as like
Really?
English. Yeah.
Wow.
It was the funniest
Buntaro.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Guntara. There was like a behind the scenes and stuff like that. Like obviously, yeah, he is like comes from a Japanese background and everything like that. But yeah, the guy just sounds like the
Mhm,
most
mhm.
English like Japanese speaking person like
Oh,
I've ever
wow.
seen. It was so funny to watch. I'm just like, is this the same guy? And
That's
it's like,
so
yeah.
funny. He's so menacing in the
Yeah.
show. Like, he
Yep.
is the driving force of, like, antagonist throughout, like, the entire middle section,
Yeah.
while everybody's scheming is the plot is really around the 3 of him, Buntaro, his wife, Mariko, and then Blackthorn. Because there's a point in the show, I think it's episode 3, where we
Yep.
think Buntaro dies. He holds off an army on, like, in, like, a forest, and he runs off, and we assume too that he's dead. Then
Yep.
while he's dead, I think like the day after, his wife sleeps with Blackthorn.
Yep.
um, and then like the day after that, he comes back. It's really quick.
Yeah. I
Um,
think there is meant to be quite a bit of like time jumping in between a lot of the scenes that we do
I
see
think so.
throughout the thing,
If it's
because
not,
even as
yeah, not that
well,
much.
there is like, yeah, but like in history and stuff like that, because there is like a few lines like you do see it every like couple episodes where it's been like they'll refer to something, oh, that happened like a couple months ago type thing. And
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
show takes place over like 8
oh,
months, I
okay.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still kind of funny because it's like the next episode, he's back after
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
slept
And they're
together. It
like,
was really
what?
funny.
Oh,
Yeah. But oh boy, because Mariko doesn't love Buntaro. It was like an
no.
arranged marriage, and they both hate each
Yes.
other.
Yep.
They very much just avoid each other at all costs. But she's falling in love with the British guy. So it's this whole thing of she wants to be with him, but for political reasons and cultural reasons, she can't. There's no one can know about any of this, even though everyone knows, like, immediately about
Yeah.
the two of them. It's so funny and the whole relationship aspect, I think, is done really well. It's probably my
Yep.
favorite part of the show. There's one particular moment that I really want to talk about, and it is like would have been used as like a definition of cinematic if I'd seen it a couple months ago. There's a moment, and I think episode 6, where he goes to the brothel and he has that conversation with Mariko and the lady's sitting just beside Mariko and she's translating for her to Blackthorn, and the camera moves just slightly that Mariko blocks the other girl as if the words are coming out from her mouth in this really like beautiful segment. And like that shot
Yes.
and
Yep.
that one
Yep.
little scene alone, I think is hooked me on the entire show because that 1 minute or 2 minute
Yeah.
section is like my favorite part just because of this one little subtlety to telling the story through a camera move and
Yeah.
through the fact that you need someone to translate this dialogue. It was amazing. And I'd love it. Like that one scene could have been the whole show and I would have watched it 10 times over. I just have to bring it up because this show is gorgeous despite the parts that look bad due to CGI. Everything else looks amazing. It doesn't even take you out of it. If something looks bad in CGI, it doesn't matter because you care too much about what's going on to really get pulled away from it, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Like all the characters we
Yeah, I
do
mean, I
see
don't know
and
who
what we are following and stuff like that, you're so like you want to know what happens next with what's going on and everything. Because that's the
Yeah.
thing with these characters, they don't actually like tell you what's happening type thing until like much later, especially well we find out with Toranaga's character and stuff like that, is that
Mhm,
he was
mhm.
planning stuff over the course of this entire like 10 episode arc from like the first episode.
Yeah,
Like he already had things in
the whole
plan,
thing.
already in motion, and everything like the whole thing. There is one other character which I absolutely adored him as well, which we haven't mentioned yet. Is
Yubashige?
Yubishige is probably
Yeah.
one of
Oh,
the
he's
best
so good.
characters in this show. We are first introduced to him at the little shipping village when obviously Blackthorn comes in and he owns like the region
Mhm, mhm.
under Toranaga type thing. And this is meant to be like, all right, asshole Japanese character type thing that like is scheming behind
He's
everyone's
great.
back, absolutely hates Blackthorn and everything like that, kind of despises him. And then we find out, like, I think it was already in the first episode where he basically was like ready to kill himself, and then Blackthorn has like kind of a mutual respect for him because of that. Because since like he was like, oh, this man was about to kill himself his own way out, then rather getting caught by the sea and everything like that, he was willing to like
Mhm,
just
mhm.
die his own way type thing. Obviously, that didn't happen, and we don't obviously towards the end we see him in every single episode. But
Yeah.
he was such a great character, and how everything comes together in this show, and you think like these characters have their own plans. Like Yabashiki, he's always scheming and trying to get ahead of everyone and trying to become like the next Toranaga, essentially. Like this was
Yeah,
all
yeah.
part of Toranaga's master plan. Like he knew these
Oh,
people were
it's
like
so
scheming
cool.
behind him and stuff like that. And that all then led to the final like 30 minutes of the final
Episode. Yeah,
episode,
yeah.
which was just like wow.
Which was amazing. Let's get into the final episode because I know that we have some differing thoughts a little bit. I know that
Yeah.
you've expressed some concerns, and we'll get into that, but I'll set the scene first. The final episode, well, the second final episode we
Second
have to talk
final
about first
episode.
because
Yeah.
that's when everything's ramping up. Blackthorn and Mariko are in Osaka. Yobushige's there. Basically, an assassin's attack. And Mariko ends up dead, and it's because of
Yep.
Yubashige and a whole bunch of other stuff coming together of like
Yeah.
playing
Can we
both
just talk
sides.
about like, yeah, at this
Blackthorn's
point
awful.
in time in the story, Toranaga has basically said he's given up and is going to surrender to
Yes.
Osaka.
Oh, yes.
But
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
son just died prior, so like he's in 48 days of mourning because that was part of their culture type thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And in
yeah.
the meantime, like Blackthorn's just like gone against him, be like, you can guys can die, you can like kill yourselves and everything like that. Like, I don't care. We just saw his best friend actually kill himself because they don't want to go ahead with like surrendering to Osaka and everything like that. So that's a whole thing as well that happens
Yeah.
prior to all this, which was insane because
Mhm,
like
mhm.
he had, yeah, Toranaga's best friend, physically the man that trained him and was there since
It's
he was a
crazy.
kid, kills himself over
There's
like
like
his choices.
There's like 3 episodes that make us convince us that Toranaga's really given up. Like that
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing that we can do to get out of this.
yep,
And I'm genuinely believing that there's nothing they can do to get out of this situation. And I cannot pick another TV show that's had that same feeling where I
yeah,
actually genuinely don't think they can get out of the situation they're in. It's been constant downhills for Toranaga and his like clan. The fact that the switch around in the last episode hits so much harder
yep,
because of just how impactful everything was. Especially because I've watched this show twice now coming into it, and if you watch it twice, you pick up on things. You can see it from the first episode that Toranaga's plotting, and it's so obvious that I was like, why didn't I pick up on this before? The
yeah,
whole way through, his son dies, his best friend dies, and he doesn't bat an eye to these things, and you don't realize it the first time the same way that Yubashige, Blackthorn, and all that don't realize it either. So leading into the final episode, which you think there's going to be a huge battle, but then it's revealed
oh,
there is no battle at all because no
yep,
battle's needed because Toranaga's already won. The death of Mariko set the regions against each other.
yep,
It's taken over Lady Ochiba, who is the mother of the heir and her army. So like the actual like Japanese army is
yep,
now like not sided with the other bad guys. So it's all been this long plot for Toranaga to basically have his enemies turn against each other and then not support each other so
yep,
that he can become Shogun through that. But yeah, the final half an hour is him talking with Yubashige as he is set to kill himself because Yubashige is, blamed for the death of Mariko. He was playing both sides the whole way through. Toranaga knew.
Yeah.
And so he's
Yep.
like, you have to kill yourself. And he was set to second him. So they're having a conversation before he does it. And I think it was like one of the most impactful episodes of television that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, like that
Especially like
last 10
watching it as it's
minutes
coming
of
out.
their conversation, like
Mm-hmm.
even though there are points to the final episode which I didn't quite like, but I understand like the reason why they did it because obviously that's what happened in the book. Like once you said that to me afterwards, type thing. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about Memo after, but that last 10 minutes where Ibishige and Toranaga have that conversation was absolutely brilliant. I have never seen, or not in quite some time yet, a conversation between two like actors on screen being like the way that was portrayed was just like absolutely
Yeah.
mind blowing.
100%. I'd study that scene. If anyone's
Yeah,
struggling
yeah,
with writing dialogue, look at
yeah,
this show. This show's
yep.
entirely dialogue in two different languages, and it
Yep.
is some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen written. Especially this final conversation was amazing, start to finish. The characters don't move. There is nothing else to draw your eye in this 10-15 minute segment apart from them talking. And it's somehow incredibly tense and full of drama and like chaotic as all hell, and I love it.
Yep.
It's it's amazing. I cannot praise this show's writing enough.
Oh yeah.
Even though it is based on the book, of course, there are some liberties. Considering a lot of the source materials there, they pull straight from that, yada yada. This is still an entirely different medium, so that fault
Yep.
of its own, the screenwriters for this should be commended and definitely should win an award or like an Emmy,
Oh
I think
yeah.
is the television
Yep.
awards that yeah, something like that. But yeah, talk about what you did not like about this
Yeah. So
last
it
episode,
was
or even the show as a whole.
mainly in the final episode because obviously like throughout the show it was mainly when it came to the visual effects side of things I was a bit like thrown out, especially when the earthquake happened, the whole landslide one
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I was
yeah,
just like, I'm sorry. And there was like a couple scenes as well where you could clearly tell the actor was like in front of a green screen. And it was just like, I know, like on a budget of 250 million, even though it was spread out over like 10 episodes and they're hour long and everything like that, like you can do better visual effects wise. We have seen other things that have done better visual effects on like way cheaper budgets and
yeah,
everything like
yeah.
that. I think it just came down to maybe like the time and how much they had to like prioritize on what they were working on. I think that's where it came down to and everything
I
like that.
think
And maybe
so.
it's just like what team was behind it and everything like that. But it was just in the final episode. Basically, it starts off with you said it was meant to be a hallucination. Well, there's basically this moment where we see an old
Hmm.
Blackthorn back in England, lying in bed, dying, and his grandkids are like looking at all the Japanese stuff and everything like that. And I was just like, okay, like that kind of threw me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like having that as the first thing in the final episode,
Yeah, yeah.
and everything. Where in real life, the guy that was based upon, he actually never left Japan, and we do find out later in the final
No.
episode that he Toranaga doesn't want him to leave Japan. Even he has to destroy all his boats that he builds, type thing. He doesn't want him to leave Japan
Mhm,
and stuff
mhm,
like that.
mhm.
And then it was just like, well, then what was the point of like showing that scene of him back in England and everything like that?
I see that. I see your concern, but the whole point
but
of it
is
is
that
that
in
that's
the book?
Blackthorn imagining his future. I think so. I couldn't tell. I
Okay.
haven't
And that's the thing.
read the
I
book,
feel like
so
that
I
was
cannot
more or
confirm.
less set up to be like, if we wanted to do a season 2 and wanted to do more seasons out of this, we can try
I
and
don't
do
think
something
so.
more with Blackthorn's character to get out of Japan. And this is the thing now, because there's a big debate going at the moment. The creators of the show have firmly said they do not want to make a second season. They did not have plans on making a second season or doing anything else. But now the producers of this show and Disney and all that have come out saying, wow, we did not expect this to be as successful as it was. This is one of Disney's most successful shows
Yes,
this year.
in a long time.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. It's
Obviously,
FX's most successful show since The Bear,
yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think too. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's big show.
And that's the thing. Like every single episode that I've seen, like rating wise, is like hitting above 9s and everything like that. Besides the final one, actually on IMDb, it's only on an 8.6.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like Okay, so can I talk about what I think that
Go
is?
back. Go for it.
I feel I'm sure there are some concerns from that flashback thing being a little confusing, the flash forward,
Yeah.
hallucination. That did not stump me at all. I think that's entirely like a split between the audience problem. Some people may get that, some people won't. It doesn't really matter because we see things later that contradict it anyway. But I
Yes.
think
And
it's
then
the
I'm just
lack
like,
of
so
like the
what's the
Game of
point?
Thrones. Well, I loved it, so shut up. It was showing the whole cultural divide, Barry. We get into this if you want, but this show has been hyped up since it started coming out as, like, the next Game of Thrones, better than Game of
Yeah.
Thrones,
Yeah.
and so all of those people have bought into this, and the show itself has kind of been leading up to a huge battle, and people have kind of been
Yes.
expecting a huge action-packed full episode,
And we
and then
did not
they
get
didn't
a
get any of
massive
that,
battle, which I'm fine with.
and I feel like I am 100% fine with because what we
Yeah.
got was so much better.
Yeah.
The fact that the battle was won before it was even started is such
Yeah.
a like an even more impactful way to end the show than if it was a big battle anyway, which
Yep.
is exactly how the book does it. The book describes it in a sentence of like Toranaga took 40,000 heads and won sort of thing as like a
Yep.
epilogue sort of thing. But yeah, I feel like people were a little bit let down by that. Considering, like, if this was Game of Thrones, it would've ended with that huge battle, it
Big
would've
battle.
changed
Yeah.
that, and I'm very surprised Disney, of all people, didn't end it on a huge battle and change that as the ending,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's easy money, right? Put all your
Well, that's the thing. I think,
VFX
yeah,
budget into that, and then it's marketable? My god.
for something like that, because that's the thing. The 250 million budget has not been confirmed by Disney or FX themselves. This is what people are just
It
estimating it on
sounds
of other
about
shows.
right
Sounds
at the
about right.
time,
And that's the thing.
I
Like,
think.
if you did have to do a whole battle scene then with visual effects, and I think it maybe came down to maybe the team that they got to do the visual
Yeah,
effects. Maybe they weren't capable of doing something like that, because that's the thing. We did see like visual effects wise earlier and stuff like that, where it was like a little bit like you could have done better. So maybe like the budget was only a small amount of visual effects
yeah,
work, and they were just like, we don't have the budget or visual effects budget to be able to do a full scale
mm,
battle type thing. Even if we did get people
possibly.
in
Do
and do
you
a whole battle scene and everything like that,
Mhm,
it would
mhm.
cost way too much. Like, I would hate to think how much that would cost. And
Yeah.
so what they
Do
did
you
with it all and
think
stuff like that
Okay, sorry.
was good.
Okay. Do you think if they had the money, or if Disney knew that this was gonna make as much money as it did and get this hype, that they would have done a big
Yes,
end
yes,
battle?
yes, yep,
You reckon?
yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I
yeah, I
genuinely believe they would
honestly,
have done that.
yeah. If Disney believed that this show was going to be as big as it was, which they said themselves, the producers said themselves, and the creators of the show even said themselves, they were not expecting this show to be as successful as it is.
No,
They
no.
probably would have been like, we got to change the ending. We got to do a big, massive battle. We are then going to lead on more to a season two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% they would have done that.
Yep.
But I'm so glad that they didn't. I'm so glad this show came out of nowhere because we got a really faithful adaptation,
Yeah.
and a very historically accurate adaptation, and I
Yes.
love both of those.
Yep.
Um, but they still can do a second season. I don't know
Yeah.
where you're sitting on
They
the
could even
second
do
season
a
idea,
prequel. They could
Barry.
do a movie. They could do a whole thing. Yeah, with the like
Yeah.
second season wise, I that's the thing. It's there will be something that will come out of all this. I'm not sure if it will be a sequel season. I'm not sure if it'll be a prequel or
I
something.
think
But
so.
something else will be followed on upon this. Yeah. At this point in time, it could be anything. It really could.
It definitely
Because
could
I
be.
think they were just
I
surprised by how
I
successful it
genuinely
was.
think yeah. I genuinely think there's gonna be a second season, like, sooner than
Yeah.
we think,
Yeah.
because this is based on historical events. They could
Yes.
very easily do, like, a Godfather Part 2 sort of second season
Yeah.
where it's Toranaga's rise to Shogun, and then
Yeah.
just hear more politics through that. I'm sure there's a
Well,
story that they can
that's
find,
a whole
and the
thing
writers
because
have said yeah,
yeah,
because
because like
because
in
what?
real life fiction, it's like glitching out. So like you're a bit delayed at the moment. So I'm just like
Oh,
because Toranaga's reign, well, the guy that it's based upon and stuff like that, his reign from when he became shogun lasted for 250 years, like his family line, until
yeah.
basically there was no
Yeah,
more
he started a
shoguns.
new line again.
Yeah.
Yeah. which is crazy. So there's definitely stories there that they can tell. There's things they can draw upon.
Yeah.
And if it does get a second season, we are 100% getting big battles because
Oh
Disney
yeah.
know that can make money.
Yep.
Second season is going to bring everyone back and more,
Yep.
especially if there's a promise of a huge battle.
Yeah.
100%. Give them all the money they want.
Yeah.
And
Go
I'm
for
all
it.
for that. Sure, why not? You
Yeah.
nailed the first season. That's the book.
Yeah.
Sure, expand, play with it, have some fun, do
And
some
here's the
cool
thing now,
shit.
we're gonna get all these other like companies and stuff like that trying to do the same thing. They're gonna go like and do Japanese related like samurai stuff. Because I know like I think the reason why this became like as successful as it was, because like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, like there hasn't been a big like samurai Japanese like thing since, well, film wise, since probably the last samurai, which is what, over 20 years ago now?
Yeah, probably. Something like that. Either that
Um
47 Ronin or something,
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, and
Yeah.
another big hit what came out recently was Ghost of Tsushima, and which was about like all that and the Mongols
Mhm.
coming, which is like one of my favorite games of all time and everything like that. It
Yeah,
is
agreed.
phenomenal. It is a phenomenal game. And I think like that kind of helps with that flow. I wouldn't be surprised, like most of the people that did watch the show, like you ask them if they are a gamer. Did you play Ghost of Tsushima? Most likely their answer will be yes.
100%.
And that's the
I
thing.
went
I think
back
we're
and
going to see
played
a
it after watching the show.
resurgence. Oh yeah, no, I'm waiting for like the PC director's cut to come out so then I can replay it. You'll probably see now there's going to be a resurgence of all these samurai films that will come out now,
Mhm.
which is amazing to see and everything like that because there's so many like stories we can tell and so many things we can see. Because already I don't know who it is, but there is that based upon true events, the black samurai. I forget his name, but he was a slave that got put into Japan and everything like that, and was
Yeah,
taught the
yeah.
ways of becoming a samurai. It's a well-known tale of like this black samurai and stuff like that. It's based on like historical events. They are actually going to now be making a film about that. That was announced the other day.
Hell
And
yeah.
I was like, we're going to see a lot of these things now come off because of the success of this
Yep.
show, where it's going to be like Japanese related, which is good to see. And I wouldn't be
Sure.
surprised. We're probably going to hear an announcement within the next month or so being like, we're doing a season 2. We might be doing a prequel. There's going to be something that's going to be happening. I wouldn't be surprised if they even
Definitely.
announce, was it Sucker Punch, Ghost of Tsushima 2? And it's like, well,
Yeah,
it's about time we
'cause
announce number
that's
2.
in the works. And Ghost of Tsushima is getting a movie in of itself too. So
That's
like
right.
there's
Yeah.
already a lot of samurai stuff happening. But another thing that I think they're gonna hold off on the second season announcement, at least for this year, is because if they announce a second season, they cannot win Best Limited Series at the Emmys.
Yes.
So
That's, yeah.
that's definitely gonna be a factor because they like
Yeah.
wait and then like a week after the Emmys, we're getting a second season after they win Best Limited Series.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
cool.
So it'll be
Sure, you
after
guys get
that
your back.
then.
Yeah. But I'm very happy with that. So do you wanna move on to final thoughts and ratings for Shogun?
Yeah. That's it. Overall, this like show was phenomenal. Like this, the dialogue and the story that was shown alone is just like phenomenal. This is some of like the best TV show, like how it was written and portrayed and everything. It was like some of the best stuff I've seen in like years type thing. So overall, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give this a 9.5.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell
because
yeah.
that's the thing. It was just like the
That's
final
very deserved.
episode. It was just like the scenes towards that end, and maybe the visual effects side. Because that's the thing. I'm a big stickler for visual effects stuff, especially these days and stuff like that. And yeah, it was mainly just those things and everything like that. But overall, like the story, the characters, everything we follow through, and just how it all comes together in the end with Toranaga's plan of him revealing that he did actually want to become Shogun after all and stuff like that. And we
Oh,
don't even
so
see
good.
him do the big battle, which was like a phenomenal scene. He's just like, I already won type thing. And this was like 6 months prior to the actual
Yeah.
battle of happening. And it was just like,
I love it.
wow.
Yeah, definitely agree. 9.5, it's definitely deserving of that. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10, Barry. I
Yeah,
think this
nice.
might be the greatest television show that I've like seen as it's coming out. This isn't like a
Yeah.
previous thing. This is like a current watching as it comes out week by week. It's 10 out of
Yep.
10. I understand the criticisms of some of the visual effects and some of your storytelling elements, but none of that bothered me at all.
Yep.
Everything else was just so engaging that nothing took me out. There wasn't a single moment in the show that took me out of it or made me
Yeah.
think, what was that? Or in any way, the whole thing gripped me start to finish. And the writing alone, I'd give it like a 12 out of 10 if it was just
Oh
for the
yeah, like the
writing.
writing
But
alone.
yeah,
I'm just like, who are the guys that wrote this for the screenplay anyway? That's the thing. 'Cause I do kind of want to read the novel
100%.
now and see how much like they did get like on top of it.
Yeah,
But
dude.
just whoever did the screenplay for it for each of the episodes was just like, wow.
So good. And that's part of why I'm like okay with them doing a second season because the
Yeah.
guys writing this, I want to see them do something that's not an adaptation. So I want them to continue the story in that way because they're killing it with this dialogue and this
Yep.
storytelling and all of the layers here. It's
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
So yeah,
The team that
9.5
like
and then a 10 out of
made
10.
this show should be like helping to make the Ghost of Tsushima show.
Movie? Yeah,
Is it a
definitely.
movie or TV show?
That's true. It's a movie, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a movie. At least it was a movie last time we checked. I don't know. That was like 6 months ago. Couldn't tell you.
Tsushima
Um,
movie?
wha-
I'm researching
okay.
it now.
While Barry's looking that up, I guess. Oh, hang on. Has he found it?
Yeah, it is a movie. It is a movie.
Yeah. Okay. Thought so. Okay. Well, that's it for Shogun. We got two more other little things to quickly talk about before we wrap up the episode. The first of which, as always, it's the Star Wars: The Bad Batch, or as I would call it, Star Wars: The
Yeah.
Bad and more of the bad, because
Yeah.
it's oh boy,
Or just
Barry.
bad ending.
I'm so
Yep.
disappointed. We have one
Um,
episode left of The Bad Batch.
yeah. I had very high hopes for this show and everything like that, being like, it's the final season. They're gonna do something
Ah,
drastic and everything like that. The past 5 episodes,
surely.
not gonna lie, they've been pretty crap. Like it's just like nothing's happening. It's all a lead up to basically the final
Yeah.
episode now. Which at this point in time, I'm not even sure how they're going to do this final episode. They must cut so much stuff out. I can already have theories as to what's going to happen. Type thing because of last week's episode,
Mm.
I'm just like, well, this is how it's gonna end, and it's like that. It's not gonna be as
Oh
good as an
man.
ending as I originally thought it to be. I'm still waiting them to announce like sequel series to the Bad Batch as well, type thing. That's a continuation of it because that's where it is headed. Type thing.
It's only a matter of time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
God damn it.
So yeah, I had high expectations for this season, but they went downhill
Ah.
dramatically.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel like it's just so disappointing when a show
Yeah,
that was this good, first season was amazing, second season had its moments, third season's
yep,
been okay.
yeah,
Again, had its moments, but it's also like, come on, guys. This is like this could be the Rogue One of the animated shows in terms of an
yeah,
ending. Like, what are you doing here? It's so easy. We've written you a great ending like 3 times on this podcast alone, and they're fumbling. Unless this episode, next one, blows it out of the water, I I don't see this show
I
getting
doubt it.
anywhere.
I doubt it.
The
Like it's
I
so
100% doubt it
predictable as to
because
what's going to
yeah.
happen in next week's episode now, and it's just like that is the biggest cop out on how to like just finish an episode with things and everything like that, and then it's just like it's almost like
Yeah.
taking the cool story element that they had with these characters and like there's no character development anymore. We're not following the characters, we're just following upon what the actions upon the world, what's going on. There's actually no like interpersonal
Uh-huh,
stuff, which is
uh-huh.
how the show like started out. And there was a few episodes in the beginning of the season where it was like that, the turmoil and stuff like that of
Oh
these characters, where
man.
it's just like
Mhm,
big
mhm.
action set. This happens now. Throw her in there. She's doing things. But there's no character growth anymore. It's just like, what happened?
I hate it. I hate it. It's so stagnant, and
Yeah,
I'm not enjoying it.
yeah,
But let's move away from that and talk about something that I am enjoying because
yes,
X-Men
which I need to catch
97
up
is
on.
continuing its reign. Oh, have you seen the current one?
I
Episode
have not seen
6,
the
I think.
current episode. I
Oh,
know what
okay.
happens in
I
it.
will.
I know what happens.
Yeah,
It's a
I'll give you
pretty
the
big
rundown.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Captain America's in it.
Yes.
And also Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah, so this one follows basically Rogue after the death of Gambit. She goes mental and like attacks a government institution, trying to find out about. I think it's Trask and the other dude and the Sentinel stuff. There's a whole bunch of things. Um, we get a cameo from Captain America showing up, being like, "Hey, Rogue, you got to kind of calm down. This isn't the way we do
Yeah.
things."
Yep.
and then she throws his shield in what was a
Like all the
really
way
funny
into a
scene.
mountain. Yeah.
Um, so cool. And I will say the one thing about this episode is it's so easily set up how the X-Men works in the MCU. Like
Yeah.
it's just set it up so well. It fits in perfectly. You don't even bat an eye to like Captain America or the Hulk being mentioned. You know, it's
Yep.
so good and I love it.
Yeah. No,
The
it's
MCU
great.
should take notes of that.
Um,
And then basically, yeah, the team get reunited. Nightcrawler's like a main member now, which is always good to see. We have a
Yippee!
funeral for Gambit.
Yep.
Yay! And then we get what is it? Who's the main villain? I forget his name. There's a new villain working with Sinister. It's not Banshee. It's not Bishop. I think it starts with B. It's Bastion. That's right.
Bastion, yeah.
Yeah,
Voiced
it's
by
an X-Men villain no one cares about.
yeah, but the voice actor, I just realized who it is Theo James.
Yeah, dude.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, big name. Which is
Wow.
very cool.
Okay.
He's so good. But I don't know who Bastion is. If I'm honest, I don't think I've ever read a Bastion comic.
I've seen it, yeah, a
Um,
couple times because that's the thing. Like, he's popped up a few like X-Men comics and everything like that. He's never been like a
yeah.
major or heavy hitter villain type thing. He's always been like there. Like he's always working
I
for
think this
someone
might
else
make
type
him a
thing. He's
heavy
kind
hitter.
of a flag. Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Potentially.
cool
I
to
mean,
see. Like we are using like just unknown
yeah, yeah.
characters for it all and everything like that.
That is cool.
But like obviously what he is the
Um,
setup for and stuff like that for hopefully the last 3 parts because it is like a part 1, part 2, part 3, the next
Woohoo.
final episodes,
Yep.
which will be cool to see and everything like that. Obviously, yeah, there is a lot
Very
of
cool.
things at the moment that could tie into the MCU wise because we've already started that happen with the Watcher and everything like that. And obviously now over the past week, well, did we mention last week, but a new Deadpool Wolverine trailer also dropped.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it. We would have mentioned that, right?
We would have mentioned it, right?
Or was that this week?
No, that's this week. Yeah,
I
so
don't
we
know.
didn't mention that at all in the news.
Oh.
So a new Deadpool and Wolverine trailer just dropped. People that haven't seen it, go and watch it. It is one of the best trailers I have ever watched. I love every single second of
It's
it,
so
and
funny.
I understand why Hugh Jackman came back now, and I am all for it with what they're going to do, and
Hell yeah.
with what they're doing, what I can judge from comic books and what's happened in that trailer now. I could very easily see the X-Men 97 universe of X-Men characters being introduced into live action, like MCU.
Yeah,
And that's the thing, it can work with what's been set up and everything like that.
100% can work.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Deadpool this year, I think, is going to be the saving grace of Marvel and the future of Marvel. And that's
We
probably the
hope.
reason why. Yeah, he is the Jesus of the MCU, as he keeps referring to
Yeah.
himself.
We can hope.
But it's just like
what
what they're
hopefully
doing.
keeps this level of writing
Hopefully.
because X-Men 97's killing it.
Yes, it is. And at the moment, we just found out the other day as well, Disney are looking for writers for the live action X-Men movie. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
would,
So this
if
is the
I
part
was a
where we
writer for
announce
the X-Men
that we
97.
work for Disney.
So if I was one of the writers for X-Men 97, I would be like, hey, we're writing you the animated show. Can we come and write for the live action?
That's so cool. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, X-Men 97's killing it. The one thing that's hitting me hard in the show is that the stakes feel so real. I don't think I've ever felt that way for an MCU thing since like Infinity War or Endgame, maybe. Because
Yeah.
like there's a moment at the end of this episode where the Sentinel dude attacks them and punches Rogue and he goes mental. And I'm scared that these characters are gonna die because they've
'Cause they've
already
already
killed
done
off
it.
characters. Oh, and Magneto's alive still. We know that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm genuinely like scared of what's gonna happen to these characters, and
Yeah.
that hasn't happened in a superhero thing in a long time.
And that's the thing, this is
Apart from
animated
Invincible,
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I put it on par with like Invincible, honestly. So
Yeah.
it's up that level of superhero animation,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad this is coming out. I love it. And
I
everyone
would not be
seems to love it.
surprised that that was like the idea behind the making of the show. They realized how good the first season of Invincible did, and they're just like, we have to get something going. We have to be
reckon?
on the same
Yeah.
level as Invincible. Because that's the thing, if people we've talked about
Oh, man.
Invincible and everything like Invincible is one of the best like animated superhero shows like made, and what like Amazon
Yeah,
and everything
definitely.
are doing over on their side of things at the moment is definitely bringing that whole genre to a whole new level of what it can potentially be and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's the thing. I think Disney have realized that now. They're like, all right, we can start doing that with our characters in our world and everything like that. And that's the thing. We're slowly being introduced with it, with like X-Men being a show like this, where it does like it kills off X-Men, which I would never thought I would say or anything like that. And then obviously them being like this year, they are going to be releasing their first R-rated, well in America anyway, first R-rated MCU film, which is Deadpool and Wolverine,
Mm-hmm.
which is still just like mind blowing.
cool.
That's been allowed to happen. But even from the trailer and what we've seen in the newest Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, that is very much an R-rated film.
Oh, definitely. I don't think that's ever in question, especially saying
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I'm loving it. It feels like Disney is definitely testing the waters with X-Men, seeing if the hype is
Oh,
there.
yes.
And the hype is
Yep.
there. But I guarantee that for the next 2-3 years, we're going to get tons and tons of X-Men stuff. Whether
I'm
it's
all
all
for
good or not, it remains
Yeah.
to be seen. But as of right now, yeah, we're all for it. Keep it
I
coming.
love
Keep this
X-Men.
good stuff
Yeah.
flowing.
At least I'll be able to
It's a
know
change
when
of
they do
pace.
like stuff, because like a lot of my comics that I do own are X-Men related comics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was like the first set of series that I got into reading comics and everything besides Batman was like X-Men, because I always thought like Wolverine was like such an amazing character and all those like X-Men. And then that's how I
That's
was
fair.
introduced to Deadpool and all those wacky characters. So
So good. All right. Well,
So good.
Speaking of good episode. That's the end of another episode of We Talk Film, the only show that talks about movies ever.
exactly. Only films here. There's a difference between movies and films. And once you've done, what, 2 years of film school like you and I have, you understand the difference. So yeah, we're here, we're everywhere. Go check us on our social medias. We will be back next week talking about something. Hopefully it's a film. We'll see you then.
It'll be something. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Have fun. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Go watch Shogun and X-Men
All of that.
and
Go
the
watch
Deadpool trailer.
Shogun, yeah. And whatever else we mentioned. I forgot already.
Exactly.